Man, I don't know how many of y'all read the Bible and take the time to understand the Bible. Let me say that right there, man. Back then, people talked different from the way, we talk now. And some of the things that he talked about idolizing these false gods and these different things. Like these things are, you had the Buddha head, you had this, you had the Athena, the god of water, and I remember him knocking all that stuff over like false gods. And I asked myself, did Jesus know that they was gonna do him one?
Why they wanna bring harm to me?
BeatStars.com.
Only thing I want is to have my peace.
Only thing I want is to have my peace.
There's no need for me to wear my bed. There's no need for me to wear my bed.
Man, I don't know how many of y'all read the Bible and, and take the time to, understand the Bible. Let me say that right there, man. And, back then, people talked different from the way, we talk now. So, you have to really understand what you're reading and know what you're reading. Just to be honest with y'all, man. And, I'm not, of course, y'all know my background. I ain't no saint or none of that stuff, but I listen and I research. And then even when I research, you have to think about people put the stuff on there for you to research. And you just can't go research and say, okay, because it's documented right here, that means that it's true. Because it's not always that simple. You know what I'm saying? And what I want to take y'all into is like the time. This is real talk, man. This is going to be real. The time of Jesus and that whole Roman Empire and that whole thing, man. And we all know, during the time of Jesus when he came into the church back then, he seen that it was like the old National Discount Mall. he seen it was like little 5 points. So y'all just imagine that, he walk into, this is his father's house where he been at, been going back and forth since he was a child. Y'all remember that? Say he used to be down there talking to the priests and stuff. So now he's grown, traveling around, or however, but he go through there and he see, the discount mall going on. You got new people doing the balls, you know what I'm saying? You got people, you got the bet cards, you know what I'm saying? You got people selling pork skins, you got people selling the pig snout. You got a whole bunch of stuff going on, and this wasn't that type of party. This is the Lord's house, his father's house. That's why he got offended. That's why he started tearing up the place and started going, crazy on them and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So we know how he felt about that part of it. Now, some of the things that people were selling and stuff out there, and some of the things that he talked about idolizing these false gods, and these crosses and these different things. Like these things are like these ornaments of, like this is an ornament we know, or it represents Jesus, the cross, stuff like that. So, back then, you had the Buddha head, you had this, you had the Athena, the god of water, you had all these little statue type little things that people buy at these little gatherings and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And I remember him knocking all that stuff over like false gods and all that stuff right there. So I asked myself, this real talk, I asked myself, did Jesus know that they was gonna do him one? You know what I'm saying? To be real. Because this is the same thing, you know what I'm saying? The cross, this is the same thing that they selling. It just wasn't, they didn't have the cross thing yet because it haven't happened. But everything else, all these other, so-called gods, they had things to symbolize them. You know what I'm saying? And they was carved ornaments, engraved ornaments. And we was taught from Jesus speaking, or don't idolize no other false gods and these things. And it just, like I said, made me wonder if he knew they was going to make one for him. And if he did or didn't, is it good? Is it good? Because it's him. You know what I'm saying? He's the real God. So, this is just a question I'm saying to myself and saying to y'all at the same time. I'm learning and thinking and learning at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Because it is something that represents God's son, can we idolize him? That's something to think about. You know what I'm saying? And I want to speak more about the cross itself, because that's what we idolize. You know, some people idolize, you know, the Virgin Mary and pray to the Virgin Mary. When I mean idolize, meaning pray to. Let me just say it that way. They pray to the Virgin Mary, like we pray to the cross for Jesus and stuff, you know, stuff like that right there. So what I want to take y'all back is, I went and did my research on the Roman Empire. And this was years ago, y'all. This was years ago I did my research on the Roman Empire. And I started my research in the time right before Jesus came about and up till Jesus being born and so on and so on. But not the end, you know, when he was crucified. You know what I'm saying? Sacrificed. I didn't go that far because I didn't want to go that far. I wanted to go before he came and then why he's there. And I wanted to know, how did the Romans execute you? You know what I'm saying? The many ways, different ways and stuff. And I want to know, how did they execute you? How did they sacrifice you? You know, or however. And where did the this cross come from? And, you know, things of that nature. But what I found out was, when I went back and when they crucified people and hung them up like that, because that did happen a lot before Jesus came. But when I went and looked at the images and read their procedures, the procedures were similar to exactly what happened to Jesus. Meaning, they was nailed like this. You know what I'm saying? They was nailed hand in hand or however. And then, of course, the legs was crossed over. You know what I'm saying? Like Jesus' leg was. And that nail went through just as well. So, as I'm reading, I'm seeing the similarities on the story that we grew up on. We grew up on throughout the hundreds and hundreds of years. But what was different was, when I'm reading and I'm looking up at them images, when I'm reading, I'm looking up at them images, there was only one stake. There was only one piece of wood, one stake that went into the ground like that, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's like a telephone pole right now. You get that telephone pole, stick it in the ground, get your hand, put it over your head, nail it, put your feet down there, cross them over, and nail it. That's how they crucified people back in the Roman time during the time of Jesus. Meaning, like, it's right there in the history book. The scholars wrote what was happening. They told us. So you tell me, where did that other stake come from that came across like that? That right there puzzles me. Meaning, like, was there ever another stake like that? Like, did they do that for real? History don't say they did that. I didn't read where it was two stakes going across like a cross. You know what I'm saying? It was just that one stake. His hand was crossed. His legs was crossed. But it wasn't no stake on that back end right there to spread his hands out like this. You know what I'm saying? Y'all seen something like this, and y'all seen something like this. That's that cross. Where did that other stake come from? Is it true that stake was there? You know what I'm saying? Did they just put it on Jesus when he did it? Because people before him, you know, we'll say, when I say before him, we'll say 2 weeks before he got prosecuted. Somebody got prosecuted, crucified, and though 2 weeks before he got crucified, then it was like this. It wasn't like this because they showed the pictures there. I seen it. You know what I'm saying? So, well, where did I just need to know where that came from? Is that true? And I want to know if somebody put that there intentionally, like did it themselves. What was the reason for them to do that? You know what I'm saying? That's real odd to me, man. And, you know, just something as simple as adding another piece of wood going across means a lot, especially if you don't know why they did it and it was never there in real life, in real time. So they had to put that other stake behind them somewhere after, you know, the death of them and the stories being told, and then the stories being changed, and then you got this version of it, you got this version of it, you got this version of it. You know what I'm saying? Where did that cross come from? That's what I want to know. Where did that cross come from?
I think you lose what I